As a matter of introduction, my name is Jeff Crozier, and I'm going to be the multifamily manager for the General Land Office. And I am here to tell you about the free money y'all have all been waiting on. Now, that's part of the good news. The not so good news is I'm also going to be telling you today about all the strings that come attached to that free money, which you may not like. But either here or there, we are kicking this program off. With me is our Deputy Director, Heather LaGrone. She goes way back to even Hurricane Ike and before that, so there's probably not anybody more knowledgeable about hurricane and disaster relief than Heather in this state. So we're lucky to have her here with us today. And so we're here to answer questions. We've got a small little presentation for you. We've got slides. Certainly you can ask questions during while I'm presenting the slides and things like that. But pretty much this is just an overview. We're going to get down as we get closer to actually, we'll talk about application acceptance here pretty soon. But at that point in time, I may end up coming back down here. Somebody will come back down and we'll get into the weeds with all the stuff. This is just kind of an overview to let you know what's going on. And so just kind of, whet your appetite. See that we haven't forgotten about you. We're coming. The cavalry's on the way. We're in Austin now. We haven't quite got down here, but the cavalry's coming. So, Heather, you got some things you'd like to say?
Sure. So, like Jeff said, this is the first allocation for Harvey. Right after Christmas has released $57 million for Harvey recovery. Of that $57 million, they said 80% of it had to go to Harris County. So the balance is about $10 million. $10 million is going to the 3 counties here because they have a negative impact on their unemployment numbers. We just came from House Appropriations testimony, and your mayors and your judges are out talking about how workforce housing is an issue and affordable housing is an issue. So with the money that we had a choice on, we're allocating that to affordable rental. So this first $10 million that Jeff is going to talk to you about today is from that $57 million. We're currently writing an action plan for $5 billion that we just got the Federal Register on, and we're going to set aside about 10% of that money for affordable rental as well. That's going to be opened up to all 49 counties who are eligible for Hurricane Harvey relief. So this multiplied is coming your direction related to the recovery for Harvey, probably about 2 months behind is what we're thinking. So this is just kind of like Jeff said, getting our feet wet.
And Houston doesn't get it all, so don't worry about it. We're going to make sure that everybody gets a shot. Some piece of the pie. It's not all going to go to Houston.
Well, and thank y'all for coming. Thank you to the county and the city for hosting us here. Like Jeff said, we've been out quite a bit. We haven't actually had a chance to meet a whole lot of you just yet, but we just wanted to kind of launch this and get a chance to present it to you, answer some questions, and then lead toward that application process.
Okay. Screen, yes. Okay, just to start with, as Heather mentioned, if you want to know the exact dollar amount, it's $10,866,400. The eligible counties that we're going to be doing this program in are going to be Aransas, Nueces, and Refugio. Like I said, this is our first tranche of this money. More is coming. So don't think that if you happen to have property in San Patricio or somewhere up toward Victoria, somewhere like that, we're coming. It's just this is just a small little pot, and we want to try and get this going. And since you guys suffered part of the run, most of the damage came through, we want to make sure you guys get the first shot. As you can, As you can see, the application acceptance period is going to be starting at March 15th. Oh, first of all, be forewarned that anything I tell you on the slide today can change by the time I go home tonight. So we think the application window is going to be from March 15th to April 15th. It may go longer, it may go shorter. We don't know what we're going to do, but and all that's going to depend on when the action plan gets submitted, and when can we put our NOFA out, which stands for Notices of Funds Availability, which is how the state lets you guys know that there's money available for y'all to apply to. Now we are going to we're going to talk about applications in a minute, but just so you'll know a couple of ground rules right off the bat. We are going to prioritize applications with this 10 million in an effort to get money on the, to get some hammers swinging, as we like to say. We're going to prioritize rehabilitation first. For the people that got blue tarps on their roofs, they need new cabinets, they need new flooring, they need stuff like that. They're going to get a first shot at this money. Then the second priority level is going to be our reconstruction. That's where the property's already there. It may need, you may take it down to the studs, you may take it down to the slabs. We don't know how low you have to get the work done. But chances are you've already been through the city processes. It's already zoned multifamily, so you don't have to sit around and wait like somebody doing new construction, having to go through plan review, having to go through building permit process, and all that kind of good stuff. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to prioritize rehabs, then reconstructs, and then new constructs. Everybody can apply. We don't know how much. When applications come in, we may find out we may get 50 applications, and everybody wants a couple $100,000. Well, then there's money to go around for everybody. We can do it all until we actually see applications come in. And might I say that just because you may not win money in this $10 million allocation, that doesn't preclude you from any other pot of money coming in as well. So that $5 billion, as Heather mentioned, you're also going to have a shot at it as well. So this is just a small little tranche of money that we have to play with up front. So what we want to do is get the people, because what we've been hearing throughout the state is we got to get workforce housing back up. Got to get people, got to get units on the ground for people to move into so they can work on the jobs down the street, work on the fishing boats, and work wherever they need to go. We want to help get those units done first. And those that require a little more construction, we're going to kind of work on them down the road. But we're all accepting all applications at the same time. So, and the last we heard, we're going to do it on a first come, first served basis. So when the applications come in, then we are going to prioritize them by rehabs, reconstructs, and new constructs. But if there's a tie between a couple of properties, first in wins. But then again, we'll talk in a minute about some of the other strings. You heard me mention about strings attached. There's going to be some things you're going to have to go through to qualify for this money, which may render you maybe not quite as good as somebody else, but at least you don't have to worry necessarily about competing in some competition who scores better or higher. We're not going to do that. We're going to have basically a threshold criteria that all applications must meet, and then we're going to go from there and see based on who comes in the door, and we'll go from there. Okay. The minimum amount, $250,000. Maximum amount, $5 million. The minimum size, this is something new. Probably some of y'all that called me on the phone. This came out of the Federal Register that just got posted. This grant term is for 20 years. Now we are working hard as we possibly can to see if we can get that down to a more manageable. We think 20 years might be a tad bit too long, but once again, we can't promise anything. Right now, the Federal Register says 20 years, and that's what you've got to be prepared to do, have the affordability period of this property for 20 years. Okay, the minimum development size is 8 units. You'll know why in a minute. One, because first off, that's the definition of multifamily in the federal guidelines, 8 units or more. But when we go to our rental program requirements, we have federal, state, we have some reporting requirements and some compliance requirements. Okay, this is where we kind of go through the overview and tell you a little bit about this program, what we're doing. Like I said, Cdbg, the disaster recovery funds, can use to acquire, rehabilitate, reconstruct, or build new properties that were damaged by the storm. That's one of the criteria that we're going to request is that this, whatever you do, either was damaged from the storm or you're replacing something that was destroyed by the storm. So there could be some units in this community that were destroyed, and you may be doing new construction in a locale to replace some of those downed units. But for the most part, like I said, we're going to prioritize the to do rehabilitation and reconstruction. Okay? All CDBG stands for Community Development Block Grants. It's a HUD program through the federal government. To qualify for CDBG funding, you must meet one of the national objectives. The only one we care about in the multifamily program is that 51% of the development must target residents with incomes of 80% or less of the area median income. That's called, for HUD purposes, that's low mod, LMI. You'll also see those three initials pop up. So we have low mod residents, 51%. The other 49% could be absolute, it could be market rate. You can do 100% low income, you can do whatever you want to do, but at least 51% has to be affordable. Okay, so as I said, low moderate is the only benefit for this program. 51% of the households, okay, rents. Rents will be capped at the high home rent levels. In the very back of your slides, I've printed off the income and rent limits for your counties. They're a little bit different depending on where your county is. And you can actually see what the income levels would be. And then what you're going to be interested in is the high home rent. High home is the maximum rent you can charge unless you are receiving some sort of Section 8 housing allowance for that resident. If HUD fair market rent happens to be higher than high home, you can charge up to the HUD fair market rent for the voucher amount. That's the one exception to the high home rent cap that we have. There's not a floor. You can charge less than whatever you want at high home. In fact, one of the discussions that we may come back to, that you may see in the application process, is that we might target residents at maybe 50% of income or 30% of income, just to see, because a lot of times those were the residents that were really affected, and we just want to make sure that we're not building new condo projects down here. We want to address the workforce housing issue, and we want to make sure that residents provide housing for the people whose units were destroyed by the storm in the first place. So that'll probably be one of our threshold criteria that we'll end up putting into the application itself. But like I said, if you're familiar with the affordable housing world, it's not really much different than in tax credits or whatever it may be. Pretty simple. Okay. Also, when you're calculating the rent, remember that whatever the high home rent is, you must subtract the utility allowance out of that. And the utility allowance is provided by the local housing authority. It's the Section 8 utility allowance. So once again, the tenant paid portion of the rent plus the utility allowance cannot exceed the high home rent. And like I said, you've got the chart back in the back showing you what the high home rent's going to be. So once again, they're pretty generous rents. Just by looking a quick look at the chart a minute ago. And so, like I said, I think you probably, especially since our funding is grant money, it's not payback. So there is no debt service associated with this money. So you can probably do a few more 30% renters, or where your normal economic benefit that you look at when you're doing your pro formas, you might be able to have a little leeway in this program simply because there's no debt service applied to this money. Okay. Eligible properties is what I talked about. Some of those screens attached. They're all going to have every one of these deals is going to require an environmental review. So you're going to have to probably go out and start with a phase 1 environmental, and that's going to be reviewed by our office. There will also be a discussion on whether it affirmatively furthers fair housing. That is a very nebulous term, to say the least, right now. HUD had some definitions. Now they pulled those definitions. We're just trying to figure out what they want us to do and how they come up with a definition of affirmatively furthering fair housing. But the theory behind it is they just don't want people dumping units into the poor side of town. We want to provide it. If you're going to use federal dollars, then we want everybody to have an opportunity to build across, better parts of town and other parts of town. Just spread the money out all over the city. Don't just clump it all in one area and create apartment communities or whatever in apartment cities. That's not the goal of federal funding. So they want to make sure that the money gets spread out. There will be a financial feasibility test. Typical term, that's called underwriting. But, okay, I'm giving you free money. Everybody's going to underwrite. I just want to make sure that you keep your rents capped. Yes, ma'am.
On the environmental, if we have to get the phase 1, that's cha-ching, right on up there, right up front. So if we aren't then going to receive the money, we're going to be out probably at least $1,000 to $1,500.
You won't be asked for that for the application.
Okay.
So you won't be spending any money to fill out this application. So so that, but I'll say, but now the issue that I have with my folks is that, once again, they want to be swinging hammers faster than labor. Well, if I got to take 30 to 45 days or whatever to get our middle done, it's just going to push that down. That's why we want rehabs. It's a little bit easier on rehab than it may be on new construction, something like that. So we, in the project management world, we're crashing these dates, trying to get everything done as fast as we possibly can.
And on rehab, do we still need the baseline?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody, that's going to get that has to be done by every property that receives federal funding.
Okay.
If you're doing new construction, there's a couple of new things that are going to have to pop in that you're not going to probably like. One of them is these green standards. That's LED, LED, or whatever. There's about 5 different programs that we have the ability to choose from. They're all very expensive, and they're going to drive up the cost on your units. We know that. We're cognizant of that, and we're building that into that's part of our underwriting model to make sure that we allow that to happen. It's all eligible. We'll reimburse you for it. Not a problem, but just be forewarned that when you're actually doing your plans and trying to make all this, that you're going to have to be able to meet all the green building standards that the federal government has. And like I said, some of those can be quite onerous. That's why it's only, you have to do that on new construction, not rehab. Yes, ma'am? Is that your question? Okay. And also, for new construction, there's a broadband requirement. That means your property has to be wired, either wireless or hardwired for broadband. That's a new requirement they put in this year. Okay, obviously, all properties must comply with applicable state building quality standards. New construction has to comply with ADA 2010. That was just recently updated last year, changed a bit. Most of your rehabs, reconstructs, will just have to go with the FHA design manual or HQS standards, whichever one applies. But once again, rehabs are not held to the same standard that new construction would be. So as I say, that once again, rehabs is obviously going to, you'll see that's the property we're really looking for. Once again, we can't, if your property, I'm going to say this a different way. Your property cannot be located in a floodplain. Well, floodplain. You got to lift it up. So it won't be in a floodplain. But in a floodway, if your property's in a floodway, we can't do it at all. So once again, you're going to have to comply with all the guidelines there on CFR 24-570. Y'all can read that. Okay, next, talk about 8 units more. Why? Davis-Bacon wage rates apply. So you're going to, Davis-Bacon, I have been told this, and you'll have to check it out and see. Usually I've been told this is not a problem in Texas, but it's a paperwork deal. You're going to have to go out and certify payrolls. You're going to have to go out and make sure that you're going to have to show that your electricians and your sheetrockers and your slab guys and everybody is getting paid prevailing wage as set by the federal government. Once again, a lot of that's set up in the Northeast, and from what I've understood, Texas usually our wage rates are higher anyway. So what it boils down to is just a paperwork issue more than worrying about, oh my God, did I meet Davis-Bacon wage rates? But you have to do the paperwork to keep up with it, and that's just one of those things that we run on paperwork. The more paperwork we can give you, the better we like it. Obviously, these other laws come into play also. One of the things that we also, we kind of help you with this, it's not really a big issue, no cost plus contracts are allowed. And what I mean by cost plus is that when you come in and you're doing a deal, it's not that you might get a little more money or a little less money bringing it in on time or whatever. It's we look at the cost and say you're going to get incentives in the cost for whatever that reason may be that you're getting an incentive. The reason I say that doesn't really come into play for us is the fact that you're going to get a set amount of money. So it doesn't really matter whether you outperform, underperform, whatever it may be, you're only going to get that amount of money. So really, everybody's going to be a no cost plus, but that is a rule under HUD guidelines, and we're going to ask you as part of your setup, if you receive an allocation, we're going to ask you for a piece of paper that says we did not enter in any no cost plus contracts.
Whenever you meet out contracts to do this, you have to go by historically underutilized demographics.
Yes.
They have to be given priority.
Not priority, but you're gonna have to track it, because Section 3 is another one of those,
I thought Section 3 said that on projects where possible, you had to give priority.
where possible is that you're out. But you still have to do it, you gotta track it. And you gotta show that it's not a guideline to say, I must have X amount of Section 3 workers on my property. It's showing that here's what you did to go and track.
So you can't go just by contract price.
That's correct.
Good.
That's correct. You got to show that we're not telling you who to hire. We're not telling you how many to hire. We're just saying you just got to track all your efforts to show. It's the same thing you're going to get at when you get to your tenants. At the end of the day, we're going to make sure that what's your marketing plan. How did you go out and reach out to tenants to tell them that your apartments were available? Same kind of scenario. Everything's all about the paperwork. How do we keep track of all the paperwork? The upside, yes, rehabilitation. The downside, the Uniform Relocation Act applies to rehab. So if you've got units where you're going to have to move people from one unit to another unit while you're fixing up their unit, the Uniform Relocation Act will apply. The good news is relocation is eligible under our program. Build it into your performance when you're doing your costs. And I probably can't say this enough as you're going through your cost budget. A lot of things are eligible. One thing that a lot of people do in this program is they'll get a construction loan. Construction loan interest is eligible. Okay? Relocation is eligible. But what ends up happening is a lot of the developers don't add that into their budget, and then they come back after the fact and say, oh man, can I have another $1 million? No, because I allocated $10 million, there's no money left. So there's no way I can go back and give you any more money. So be cognizant of that when you're doing your budgets up front of what's eligible and what's not eligible, and like I said, in your business world, you may have a construction line at some bank somewhere. That'd be a simple deal. And what ends up happening is you just reimburse your banker when we reimburse you.
You're speaking of interest.
Correct. That's correct. Like I said, relocation on rehabs, reconstructs. Maybe for a lot of you guys, maybe the storm took care of a lot of your relocation. You may have vacant units that are down, and you're just looking for construction money. Then obviously the relocation act's not going to come into play. Okay, properties can be privately, publicly owned. That means if you want to partner with a housing authority or whatever you may want to do, that's all fine and dandy. Projects must be at least 8 units in size. And as I said, once again, 51% of the units, right now, it's the only stream tied to this program besides those Section 3 and some of those other things. But 51% low mod is the one main requirement for this program. So it gives you a lot of leeway to do a lot of different things to build housing for a lot of different people in your community. It's probably one of the most flexible, affordable housing programs that has been created. We were very lucky. A lot of people are jealous when they see that question.
Is there any restrictions on, like, does the property have to be owned by a certain person for so many days?
No. No. What probably, obviously, obviously for a rehab, we're assuming you owned it, but either A, you're the current owner, or you have a contract to buy it.
So if it's in escrow,
Right.
that
counts. That's fine.
It'll stick with the property, like the legal description, not.
That's correct. That's correct.
And what if we have like a declaration for a condominium, like HOA, and there's 8 buildings, but they're all freestanding? Does it still count? Is it one lot you want?
You're treading on some thin ground. First of all, if you've got a condo project that you want to make apartments, not a problem at all. But remember, when you throw the term condo at me, I see individual units owned by individual people instead of making this. There may be a condo declaration, just like we have a LURA that we're going to attach to the property, a land use restriction agreement. But a condo declaration all doesn't bother us at all.
So the 8 units don't have to all be under one roof.
No, they do not. The units can be scattered, one owner. One owner can be scattered properties. Can be freestanding, attached, doesn't matter.
And there'd have to be like a clause that you can't sell or raise
Correct.
stuff.
Because remember, 20 years. You're agreeing to do this for a 20-year period. I'll just be honest with you. We did a condo in Ike, and that guy hated it. He couldn't wait because when I came in when the market was down, so it was a great way to get his property done. But then all of a sudden, his market's turned up in South Houston, down in Clear Lake, and all of a sudden he's like, hey, I want a condo this. Sorry, 10 years, big boy. So be careful. Remember that 20-year thing. It'll come back to haunt you if you're not careful. So.
What is the penalty, let's say you said you want out in 10 years, out of that property?
A little term called recapture. It can come back for the money they allocate. Now, it is prorated, and it will burn off every year. So your grant amount will be set up on a 1/20th deal. So if in 10 years you decided to quit, they'd ask for half the money.
If you have an apartment complex and 10 years into it, you actually sell it outright, does the restrictions, responsibility for restrictions then flows to the owner?
That is correct.
It does not follow the.
That is correct. It stays with the property.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that in a minute, if I haven't got to it yet. One of our hooks that we're going to put into you from the state level is that all these properties are going to have a LURA attached to them. LURA stands for Land Use Restriction Agreement, it's deed restriction, and that's what we're going to put in our teeth in it. Because like I said, any money that we put in this, we'll be taking second lien, third lien, fourth lien, whatever lien you need us to take. We're fine. We don't have any problem doing that. We'll subordinate to anybody that has a lien on your property, but we want that deed restriction on there, and it's going to run for the full 20 years. And so that not only do you have us coming out to monitor, if your tenants find out about it, they can sue you to try to enforce the order. And it is because you'll file it on record of county, so it's going to be enforceable. Okay, as I said a minute ago, all these are eligible activities: labor, material, construction loan interest, energy improvements, utility connections, correctly lead-based bank, accessibility improvements. Basically, if you're doing new construction, all that's eligible. Anything, if you're familiar with building under the tax credit program, if it goes into eligible basis, Cdbg can pay for it as well. If you're not familiar with the tax credit program, basically just think of your construction costs. We can't do anything that has to do with permanent financing. I can't do any permanent financing fees. I can't do anything that's outside of the realm of construction. If it's in construction, then probably it's going to be eligible. Now, I never say never say always. Probably it will be eligible if it has to do, if it's tied to construction somewhere along the line. Okay, if your property contains single-family structures, and remember we talked about just a second ago up here, you can have scattered site housing. In fact, we're seeing that's a new kind of cool model that's being put out there, that we're having detached homes as your apartment unit. To the naked eye, it looks like a subdivision. But it's really because there's one owner and they own all the properties on the site that it's considered a multifamily development. If you do have those single-family properties, then this is what's called visibility. It's a state rule that's been put in. All units must meet the state visibility requirements. Even though you're not necessarily saying, hey, the guy, the renter here is not handicapped, or it doesn't matter. It's a state requirement. You must do it for every house. Every new house that's built must meet the visibility requirements. That's only a requirement if you're building new construction, single-family homes as your multifamily development. Rehabs, doesn't apply.
So does that eliminate the single-family structure if we're in a floodplain and we have to raise the structure? Because that's not a no-step entrance.
No, because then you're going to be doing the ramps and everything else. So probably get it. I mean, whether it's visible, you got to do whatever you got to do to make it visible.
My buildings are on slabs, and I'm not sure if I'm close on that. I'm real close to the water.
If you're not in a flood zone, then it's not a problem. It's an issue. You know, Heather, if on a rehab, can we do a deal that's in a flood zone that they can't?
Anything living in a floodplain is not elevated 2 feet over base flood.
That's what I
So,
want.
you could potentially apply for elevation. I know that's tough to do with a slab, not impossible, but very
So the
expensive.
cinder block problem is on the slab.
Yes. Yes, you could potentially do that with your properties. And that would be an eligible use to elevate those properties.
We're not saying every property works. We're trying to grab as many of them as we can. I mean, there are going to be some of those difficult ones that are going to be very tough to do. But like I said, the good news is we can pay for the elevation. So I mean, if you can figure out a way, engineering-wise, to get it done, then we can do that. But once again, I can't tell you how to do your deal, but it may. You got to get creative how to make some of these deals work. They're not all cookie cutter. Okay, under the application. Oh, yes, ma'am.
All right, I got one question, and then I can probably just walk out. I have an eightplex, meet that.
Okay.
I had $300,000 worth of damage. I am the hub contractor and the owner of said building right down the road.
Okay.
But I've already bought all of my materials, and about 50% of the reconstruction work has been done. And do I need to walk out now because I'm ineligible, because I'm not starting now? With
You're not ineligible for all of it, but you are ineligible for some of it because we can't legitimately reimburse anybody until that environmental is done. And technically, you've already started the work, so whatever, if you stop work today, we can pay for the rest of it, but like I said, you're 50% done. So I'm not.
And that wouldn't include the $150,000 in materials that I've already bought, right?
Right, correct.
So I won't meet the $250,000 threshold.
Correct.
You don't have $250,000 worth of need remaining in that property?
Not anymore. Oh, well. Thanks.
You're quite welcome. Like I said, I wish we could say, everything to everybody. She raises a great point though, and that's something we always talk about, lessons learned from storm to storm. And that's we're in fact in our home ownership program, we're actually starting a reimbursement in part of the $5 billion deal. For the first time, we are actually starting a reimbursement program to do exactly what she's describing. It hadn't gotten to the multifamily world yet, but maybe in future allocations down the road, it might. We may be reaching back out to her at some point in time. Because okay, now you can apply for this. Like I say, everything is changing daily. Here's the frame, and now we'll build our program off the frame. But every application is going to come in. We're going to have threshold criteria, which means those are those criteria that everybody has to do. I can't think off the top of my head what some of those would be right now. But there's, you must have proper zoning. Of course, like I said, for rehab, that's easier done. But for the most part, there's certain threshold, and in the selection criteria, that's where you do the points. And say, okay, if you agree to do 100%, say low mod, instead of 51%, you're going to get more points. We still may do that just as a tiebreaker kind of thing. Maybe you're going to set aside 30% units, 30% renters, 50% renters. We may do that as a tiebreaker only, because right now it's looking like it's going to be first come, first serve. And then as long as you're in the door and we've got money to allocate, we will allocate it to you. It's only when we get oversubscribed is when we've got to start having these little games come into play, and that's when it gets a little difficult.
One of the things, going back to the slide where the 3 counties are involved in this, has the amount that each county is going to be eligible to receive been set? If so, how is that set? If it has not been set, how do you think it will be set? Will it be set by population?
We're not going to set it all.
Those
3
everybody's
competing for the same deal.
And everybody's going to have the same first day application receipt.
That is correct.
It's going to be a long day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Do we have an
And
idea?
if my boss lets me, I'm going out of town.
Do we have an idea, at least a reasonable time frame as to when that date will be?
Well, right now we're looking at March 15th when it opens up.
Oh, okay.
Now, once again, we have to get the action plan to HUD, and once again, for all you people that are, I always laugh about this, is that we are doing things in conjunction. See, in years past, we might have had to wait till HUD approved our action plan before the NOFA went out, and then do applications, and then do this, and then do that. And here we are next year about the same time, having the same meeting, getting you guys ready to go. We're doing things simultaneously. We're assuming HUD's gonna like our action plan, which if they don't, then we may stop, King's X everybody and say, wait a minute, add this to your application, fill this piece of paper out, or do whatever needs to be done. And we may end up doing that. But right now, to get money out the door, we're pushing. We're trying to get down as fast as we possibly can.
And how are you going to receive them? Are you going to receive them at the post office or sealed?
I haven't thought about that yet. I just off the top of my head, I was going to say FedEx. And then all I got to worry about is the ones that show up that day. I mean, then there's 12 or 13 I may look at or whatever. But then again, but see what I'm looking at is fine, they all come in. But if somebody's doing a new construction versus a reconstruction versus a this, by the time you prioritize everything and you look at, you know, do they affirmatively further fair housing? Well, the other thing we're not going to be big on, I haven't floated this by my boss yet, so she may tell me about this. I am not interested in extensions. We're going to figure out a time frame you need to close by, and I'm thinking 60 days. So if you've got a property, you're ready to go, and you can close in 60 days, then this is the program for you. We're going to have the money for you, and it's going to be ready. 61 days, I'm going to go to the next guy on the list. Because he said when he applied, he could close in 60 days. So I want to make sure that everybody realizes readiness to proceed is huge for us. We have to have hammers swinging quickly. And we picked this area because it had the most need, and y'all seem to be ready to go. And so we want to try to help you and get off the ground with at least for $10 million worth to begin with. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're saying closing in 60 days. Are you saying if we put a property under contract, we submit our application, and then you approve our contract or our application rather, we have to close on that property in 60 days?
Correct.
To meet that.
Which may prohibit you from going out and buying the property. Well, once again, what we're trying to identify are the guys that already own their properties that need to fix them. That we want to help them first. That's the goal. Somebody out there looking for a business investment, okay, you may not be able to fit this tranche of money. Let's see what we got to help the guys who really need the help and need to get the units fixed up first. There's more help coming, and we can certainly address all those issues in later funding allocations. But right now, let's see what we can do, because we keep hearing, I mean, I drove in from the airport, I saw a lot of damaged properties. I'm sure there's a lot of damaged apartments around here as well. So let's get those up.
So you don't actually have to own the property whenever you put the application in, but you have to go to close on the property.
60 days.
60 days of the application or the selection.
Jeff, do you foresee this application process, those who are not funded, those applications staying in for the next tranche, or this will be a whole new application process for the new?
For the immediate deal, we're going to keep them online in case somebody can't close in 60 days. We'll have a waiting list to go down that waiting list. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't just keep the same application. If you've already filed an application once, just keep it in line. I mean, because if we do, when the $5 billion comes, we're going to do the same kind of scenario where we're going to have a Golden Triangle region, we're going to have an GAC Houston region, and probably an lower Gulf Coast region. So those applications can stay.
Unless we end up doing a first come, first served for the $500 million,
Good point.
that could potentially be a
Good
reason
point.
that you would have to reapply. As long as nothing substantial changes about that application, we know already within the bigger pot of money we're going to allow for larger projects. We'll probably keep the minimum at the $250,000. So unless we end up doing like a subset that has a first come, first served component to it in your application, we'll likely be able to move forward or move forward with some sort of an addendum to cover any additional requirements that might come out.
And that brings up another point. Whenever you talk about receipt money, you have a receipt, you have a receipt when you get in, you probably haven't even looked at them, maybe you have looked at them. But somebody gets their stuff done way before March, maybe they're well on the way getting it done and everything. And they go ahead and send those to y'all, but y'all hold them until March 25th.
Can't officially accept an application until whenever the NOFA says we are now taking applications for this day.
And how are you going to determine what, if you get 600 and on the first day, which you're allowed to do, how do you determine who's first?
They'll be timestamped.
At what? At your place?
Every time they get to the building.
Okay, well, they're gonna all get time stamped, you know, they're just gonna grab and pick and everything.
That's why we're gonna have the scoring criteria, that's why we're gonna have the set asides, that's why we're gonna have, and quite honestly, at the end of the day, if we do everything, there is a, if you've ever been familiar with the Texas bond lottery, what they do for for tax exempt bonds, they have a lottery for the allocations. And if it just gets down to a purity, we've got 600 applications, and they all score exactly the same, and they all came in on the same day, well, then we may end up having a lottery and see who the winner.
But you're only gonna have 40, you're not gonna have 40 selections at $250, or 250,000 at 10 million.
That's correct.
It's only gonna be 40 selections.
If somebody comes in and asks for 5 million, that's 2 deals. So once again, that's why we're looking, that's why I'm prioritizing. I don't want, the goal of this, since 10 million is not very lot of money, I don't want somebody 2 deals coming in and taking the entire application. Now, if they happen to be the best deals and the best scoring deals, whatever, we're not going to discriminate against anybody. But like I said, we want to look at see what out there in the rehab world. There may not be anything out there in the rehab world. We don't know. Everything may be new construction before the end of the day.
Now, you're anticipating, you said, a couple months for the next batch of money to.
That's our goal. We got our fingers crossed. It's coming because we just got the word from HUD through the action plan, and so we've got a time limit saying, okay, well, we know that we're running 2 months behind, but if HUD doesn't like this, or then they change the next, we don't know what HUD's going to do with us.
But the money is definitely coming.
Yes, oh yeah, we already got it. Yeah, it's coming. It's not quite that. And just so you'll know, in last week's big budget thing, there was another big tranche of money given to the state. That's way far down the road, but the $5 billion is on our way. And so, well, I know that. And even then, we're probably going to be off that $5 billion, when we got 10% is going to be multifamily. So that's $500 million. Now, granted, Ike was only $350 million, and we did over 10,000 units under Ike. So we can get a lot of properties rehab for $500 million. That's a big chunk of money. May not get them all, but it'll get a lot of them. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions. First of all, once you receive the applications, and I guess you preview them and prioritize them, you make a final decision which ones get chosen.
That'll be our staff. We have a team together that'll score all the applications and review them and make sure that, so we'll make the award as the agency.
All right. And then
I guess in theory, George P. Bush, our land commissioner, will end up signing the letter at the end of the day. I don't know. But he's not going to know. He's not going to look at it. I can assure you.
And then the second question is kind of a 2-part question. That $5 billion, you said 10% is allocated for multifamily.
Correct.
And then is it going to be just within these 3 counties?
No, all from Beaumont to Corpus Christi.
Okay, that's 10%.
Yes, the $500 million. And what we're going to do there is we're going to do it by set aside. So as I said, the southeast region is going to get. We're probably going to bring the COGS into this. And so the southeast region is going to get a pot of money. Houston, Harris County is going to get a pot of money, and the Golden Crescent and Gulf Coast COGS are going to get a pot of money. That way, we can everybody gets a shot. Now, we also are going to have part of the HUD Federal Register. They designated certain counties as impacted and certain counties not impacted. So once again, that will be another set aside that we'll have inside the region. We'll have impacted counties, non-impacted counties.
I was surprised San Francisco was included in that. Not that I want to be included because that's part of our money, but why wasn't St. Pete included? Because they had a lot of damage too.
They did, and Heather, you want to address that?
So, HUD did that. HUD did the calculation to do that. What they looked at is they looked at people who declared themselves as low to moderate income on their FEMA information when they applied, and they looked at the FEMA verified loss number for the 2 highest thresholds. And in doing that, San Patricia County has a small swath of the county that looks like it's got that type of numbers, but when you add it to the whole county, it dilutes that.
Yeah, I see that.
Have you come up with any per unit caps, or you're going to do cost reasonableness with needs?
Right now, it's basically cost reasonableness. One of the reasons we don't do this, well, once again, our cap is $5 million. So I
Well,
mean,
sure, but pretty much that.
right. And I'm not the TDHCA guy. If you're within the ballpark, I don't get my pencil out and nail it down to the last dollar, right? You know, if you're close, you're close. And the cap, the overall $5 million cap usually will take care of everything. And I will admit, maybe the property needs to be elevated, may have a higher cost per unit than some other, and so I don't want to knock that guy out just because of some arbitrary cap in there. Maybe it might be the deal of the century for him to raise the property. And so that's what I say, we're not going to do it. We're going to let the $5 million cap dictate everything. But you don't get $5 million to rehab 2 units. So be forewarned. That's where cost reasonableness will come into play, and I'm not going to allow that to happen. So, or my staff not just me, but everybody's going to be underwriting these deals.
Yeah, where are you going to take your data from? Because like if you look at a program like Exactament, we all know that that's not divvying up where it really needs to divvy up just by everyone's understanding of insurance. So are you going to be getting real data from this county? Like real pricing for lumber, for subcontractors? Because I mean, supply and demand comes into play huge.
We're hearing across the board. Yes, the answer to meet your question is yes, because we're hearing across the board that everybody is having trouble. Right now, if you were to ask me, based off what I usually do is I go back and take the TDHCA builder database and just see what's happening out there in the world. Since they go all over the state, they have a pretty good idea. Well, before Harvey, those things were running anywhere from 180,000 to 200,000 a unit. So if you're telling me now because of Harvey we bumped up 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%, whatever it may be, we're going to be hearing that across the board. And so yeah, we're going to take real numbers. We're going to listen to developers and builders. That is one thing I'm going to do. That's why what I need you guys to do, I've got cards up here. That number on there is to my desk. Call me if you have a question, because what we don't know are where are the unintended consequences. And if I'm missing something, please let us know what it is that we're missing. We might be able to fix it and make it happen. So like I said, that's why another reason we don't want to limit on a per unit basis, because until we actually find out what these things are going to cost, with the added cost of labor, added cost of sheetrock, I mean, it's just going to be, it will be more expensive. We know that. We know that. Which is why another reason why we want to kind of do rehabs first. That's going to be the best thing for us.
And then, are y'all also going to be looking at, say, he had insurance, say he didn't fight hard for his insurance, say he only got 40% of what he needed. So either have him, come back, try to get your money, say he couldn't get his money, say there was no negligence, say he really worked hard to get that money. He paid his premiums, he was on top of his insurance. So, I think he's definitely in, should get some money. But now, say someone has already received money, and then they go and try to get more money. And obviously this is to help people, but are y'all going to be looking at previous insurance disbursements from the Texas, or from their windstorm?
Only to determine the duplication benefits. I'm not going to pay for a roof twice. So if your insurance paid off for you to get a new roof, and you put a new roof on that house, then you can't come apply for us to put a new roof on your house again. Repairs, different animal. You can repair your roof with insurance. You're not repairing. If you're going to replace it now, that's not necessarily duplication. But once again, I'm not going to give somebody that got more insurance or less insurance. They're not going to get prioritized anywhere or the other. You do what you got to do to get your property fixed up. And once again, the guy that got insurance, chances are he's not going to need as much money as you're going to need. So that's where that will wash out. But once again, it's a contest, and so we got to have parameters in there somewhere. We're not going to make a determination. We cannot, under duplication of benefits, pay for something twice. So that's why we'll look at insurance proceeds. Yes.
So what if someone trying to be a slumlord didn't have insurance? Just trying to make more bottom dollar.
I'm not going to get into that.
What I'm just saying in terms of like the application process, like the due diligence on the front end before the storm didn't happen, in order to increase the bottom line on the back end, we all get it. So, are y'all going to be taking that into account in terms of character of who's getting that money?
Well, the one thing we're going to look at down here, previous participation experience. That is going to be a part of the application. Yes, we're going to run your name through sam.gov to see whether you're, obviously we can't issue money to folks that were being barred by working for the federal government. We're going to look at what your experience is and your background, things like that. Once again, those are very subjective things to kick somebody out or put somebody in over. What our goal is, I just want to make sure, and probably most of us want to make sure, that we don't want to give money to a guy that's defrauded the government out of hundreds of millions of dollars, and all of a sudden it shows up on the newspaper and we weren't paying attention to who you're allocating money to. Other than that, we're probably not going to get too deep in the weeds on saying one guy is better than another guy. We're just not going to do that. We can't win in that game.
The intent of the program is to get more units online. So we're not picking this guy or that guy. We're picking the best thing for our buck for the program perspective. They're signing that 20-year land use restriction agreement with us that will prohibit them from being able to use slumlords from now on. So we've got standards that are going to be applicable to that property owner from here forward. So we're protecting the tenants that we're financing these units for. But we're not going to look back and, there were rumors that he did this or he did that kind of thing as part of the consideration.
Income restricted, rent restricted, and suitable for occupancy. We come monitor for that. And what is suitable for occupancy? Whatever local habitable codes are for your community. We will come out there and look at your property. If that guy really says, okay, I'm just going to get this property and then be a faraway owner and never put a mind into it ever again, well, it's going to come out pretty quickly, and then we have a recapture issue. We can go back. If they're in non-compliance, then we can go back and recapture. So we have a way to make this happen, but there's a lot of flexibility out here. And I know it appears we're running fast and loose, but we're really not. We're really kind of following what most of the affordable housing programs are. So, like I said, we've never dealt with affordable housing programs for either HUD or the state of Texas. This is all going to be very new to you, and it's going to blow your mind trying to make it all work out. But the best part knows is when you're doing your pro formas, it's grant money. That means there's no debt service. That's what makes this program a whole lot different. Yeah, John?
Yeah, anybody knows anything about multifamily in the last 20 years knows that we're going to have to do more and more with less and less. And, here's my question. Why would you have a minimum requirement of $40 million if somebody only needs $100,000? Why would they be excluded?
Well, the only reason I came up with that number, and once again, that's a great point. We may by the time we put out the applications, you may say we may change that. But the issue would be 8 units times 25 grand is at 250,000. And so that's how I came up with the number. 25 grand is a rehab. Well, yeah, but I'm rounding up.
I've got 40 units,
You know.
$3,000 well, I can't participate because I don't need to go $40 million.
Understand that, but just like you dealt with tax credits and RD and everything else. They don't want paint and patches. If we're gonna do some rehab, let's do some serious rehab here and get some properties that just minor maintenance and things like that. You can go down and buy another can of paint, maybe fix up some stuff. But you're going to find probably, especially in this day and age, if you need new flooring, you need new cabinets, you need new appliances, you need new walls, that's going to easily run you 25 grand. And that's how we came up with that number. And if that number's too high, once again, there's economies of scale here as well. There's a lot of, you're familiar with all the stuff you have to put up with affordable housing. Some of these others, you just do a small deal, and it's just not worth the time or effort. For $100,000 to keep track of Section 8, Davis-Bacon, affirmatively furthering fair housing, so there has to be it has to be worth your while to do the deal, to deal with the federal government. There's no doubt about that. And that's why we kind of arbitrarily pick the numbers.
But it's free money.
It's free money.
About money. It's free.
A lot of money. That doesn't mean in future allocations we can't change the rules. This is what we want to look at with this $10 million. Let's see what unfortunately, you guys are the guinea pigs. Our future programs are going to depend on what happens here. We're going to see what needs to be changed. If something needs to be changed, who knows? We may have hit it right, and it runs like clockwork. And say, man, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen. Don't know until we see the law applies. Y'all have to go and put the pins in everything and see what happens. reporting requirements, we'll get into that at the application window. Basically, during your construction, they're going to want to know what your Section 3 reports are, your certified payrolls, and your data stake, and things like that. You're going to be reporting those monthly. Once the property is complete, however, and you move into the compliance end of it, then those will be yearly. We're going to want to get your rent rolls every year to make sure that at least 51% of your property is targeting low-mod residents. Okay, I've already discussed all this. I mentioned Section 3, that's the hub reporting. As we mentioned, something for y'all not familiar with Section 3, it's the section where you try to target hub builders, minority contract, whatever it may be, from on the historically underutilized business world. And Section 3 is what of the rules is what we're heading. But the thing that's interesting is that term is underlined to the greatest extent feasible, which is what I was addressing for you a minute ago. There's no requirement that says you must have hub people building on your property 5% to there's no requirement whatsoever. We just have to know what you did, how you went about procuring your contractors and general contractors and other kinds of things. We want to see your plan. And that's what we're going to ask for is a Section 3 plan, and you're going to have to monitor that once a month during construction. You'll have to update that. Record keeping, just like in everything else, these are going to be more about your tenant files. I would certainly keep your construction money files somewhere safe in case HUD were ever to come back and have a question about any of your construction costs. Chances are they won't, simply because we'll have already done a lot of that work for you. But certainly on the tenant file issue, when we're going to come out, just like when TDHCA comes out and looks at your property, we're going to want to see those tenant files to make sure that you're getting all the income verifications and tenant certifications and all that kind of good stuff. For any of y'all that have never done it before, they changed the name of it. I just saw it last week in the interview. But TDHCA has a free program. It's offered the first Thursday of every month. That's what they used to call it, first Thursday. Now they call it something else. But it's really, if you're not used to doing income certifications and verifying people's incomes and setting up tenant files, it's a really cool 4-hour, 5-hour little overview of how to do property compliance. I would suggest go on TDHCA's website under their compliance tab and look for that. They offer it all around the state, and it's free. So if y'all have never done, or the management company that's on your property has never done an affordable housing deal before, there's going to be some compliance issues and how to keep tenant files. And then finally, the last thing what I've done is I've included the income limits for the 3 counties that we're looking at, and the income and rent limits, so you can see what the last line down there, 80%. That's the maximum any one tenant for a family. This is done by members of household. So a single person making no more than $30,000. I'm in Aransas County. For a single person making $30,600 or less, can live in one of your units. And it goes across the board by the number of members of that household. I will tell you that these 3 counties are slightly different. So don't just pick up one and think that if you get the Refugio County, you're going to be different than Aransas and Oasis. Not by much, but a little bit. And then the final 3 slides will have your rent limits. And remember, these are the maximum. You must take the local housing, whatever the PHA utility allowance is for that number. You have to subtract from this rent amount, and then you can charge that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, is the $10 million Affordable Housing Hurricane Harvey multifamily program. Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the next fund that you have, you said it's $5 billion, right? And the Texas Affordable Housing multifamily, what happens to the rest of the 90%?
It is going to go for single-family homeowner repair to home, single-family homes. We're going to do the reimbursement program that Jack talked about, where we reimburse homeowners who came out of pocket to go ahead and make repairs to their homes. We're going to have a buyout program where we're buying structures out of floodplains, floodways, repetitive loss areas. There will be an infrastructure program associated with that, and some planning activities, so some planning studies. that'll be eligible for those funds.
So the infrastructure, is that going to be allocated to the cities and counties to expand infrastructure, sewer? Because the biggest problem we have here